Howdy ho.
What's up, Adam?
How you doing, Eric?
Oh my God, it is awesome to talk to you finally, brother. I have to say, ever since I text messaged you, I've been hearing a lot more echoes on my phone than usual.
Hey, the safest place at all those on all those government watch lists is at the very top. Unless you're John McAfee.
My computer is fucking restarting and flickering on and off and shit.
Yeah. I know how you feel. I know how you feel.
I know you do. No, I bet.
Yeah, if you want your show to be censored forever, the best way is to have me on as a guest. So good job.
Yeah, no, thank you. This is actually one of my last YouTube videos because I'm out the game. I've been saying I've been out and I'm stopping YouTube videos, which I am going to do. I just realized that I lost me personally. I know there's a lot of kids watching me and you, definitely. I don't want them to quit because you don't be a quitter in life, but I lost, and I don't think anything I've ever done ever actually worked besides annoying some powerful politicians.
Yeah.
And I had so much.
If I may weigh in here, then there's nothing defeatist about finding a better path. The defeatist thing to do is to stay on a failed path and to live in that insecurity and attachment that keeps you doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And I'm going through, I mean, I jokingly call it like an existential midlife crisis, except it's not midlife and it's not a crisis. I'm 40. I'm literally in the best shape of my life. And I feel really good about things. But I'm also taking this opportunity to step back and say, you know, I've been preaching to people. You know, and in a lot of ways, I live up to my preaching when it comes to, you know, live a life free of the expectations of others, design your own life from the ground up without letting other people bully you or pressure you, or just the momentum of history lead you to a path that's not authentic or not your best life. And, you know, I mean, I live off grid on 11 acres down 3 miles of private dirt road. I have passive income. I'm 40 years old. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm single, no kids. And, you know, it's kind of like I won the lottery that way. I've got this badass resume of activism, but I need to take some time to step back to let go of all of the attachments that I've had to life patterns that weren't serving me. And I think a big one has been in, you know, like you said about your media production, right? You kind of hit a wall, right? And I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but, you know, just from what you said. And I keep thinking about this Thomas Sowell quote that I see on memes occasionally. He said, "You cannot argue facts and logic and reason with people who are emotionally committed to their positions." So I really need to like integrate that in not just in my worldview, but in my activism, in my voice in the public, if I want to have one even going forward. And when you realize that a lot of the commitments to the evils of the world, the institutionalized evil in the world, is based on, it's an emotional attachment, right? Usually like fear and insecurity. You know, we scare people into, or governments scare people into submission, and they beat you down psychologically. And I think, you know, I've gained a lot from my psychedelics usage, and that's what I want to share with people is like, you know, what you can do with meditation and introspection and self-examination to live your best life. And so, since people won't watch my podcast or watch my YouTube channel, listen to my podcast, I've decided that, you know, I'm going to pursue a new path in my activism. I think I'm just going to dose the water supply. Yeah, LSD for everybody. I say that obviously jokingly, but I am serious in that I am going through that existential shift for myself, and I'm going to step back from, I'm going to take a break from life for I don't know how long. I don't mean I'm exaggerating a little bit, but from taking initiative or any new directions.
We're
I'm
tired.
building my homestead. Huh? Sorry.
We're
I'm already
tired.
rambling.
No, no, it's okay. So let me respond to a few of those things. The government. So, oh wow, where do I begin? All right. So no one bullied me. My I don't like state government,
Well,
but
you're bullied by everybody. Everybody living under a coercive government is under a covert kind of bullying. If you do not submit, if you do not comply with police who are enforcing laws written by politicians, they will use violence against you. That's a bullying threat. Government is a bully.
yeah, but they haven't done that to me personally. And
Because
I'm sure they've done it to many people, but to me personally, I don't.
You having what I just said is you've been threatened. You live under the threat of that. That's bullying. You've just been smart enough, right, to sidestep the actual violence, right?
So so let me ask you this. We should get this out of the way right now. Because I wanted to ask you a lot of other good stuff, but let's get this out of the way. You don't like, or I should ask you, because you have a lot of, you mentioned that no one watches your podcast, and I disagree with that. You have millions of fucking views on some of your videos, if not the very least hundreds of thousands. What do you mean no one listens to your podcast?
Okay, yeah. Thank you for calling me on my facetious exaggeration there.
Okay.
But
Not enough people. The world doesn't listen to you the way you want. Is that what you're trying to say?
No. Well, it's two things. That's one thing.
Okay.
And first on that point, I was at the Libertarian National Convention this last weekend, and whatever your opinion is of the Libertarian Party, looking at its effectiveness, you have to admit we went from zero to something, and we've been more or less flatlined at that something for 40 plus fucking years. We have been turned into controlled opposition, whether we want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
So there's that sense, but that's more existential for me and considering new path. But for when I say no one listens to my stuff, yeah, I'm grateful for everybody who helped build my YouTube channel up to 100 million plus views and 250,000 plus subs. But there was a major turning point for me when Google bought YouTube, and I had weed and cannabis as default tags on, I think, every single one of my videos. And so I was doing 2 million views a month. And this was early, before I loaded the shotgun, 2013, right?
2013, right. Okay, hold on. Before we get on that, because I want to talk on that too, but
let me just finish it. I'll wrap this up with the censorship thing, because I was doing 2 million views a month and it's not when Google bought YouTube, it was when Google AdSense replaced the YouTube content creator revenue sharing program that was independent to YouTube until then. And since then, I've noticed a lot of shadow banning and censorship. And you can see now, even though I still have 250,000 subs, I'll put out a video, even a good thoughtful one, and sometimes it'll get just 2,000 or 3,000 views, and you go,
just 2,000 people,
that's not
right? I got you. So 2,000 or 3,000 people are listening to you, and a lot of them are kids, and a lot of them learn from you, and including me. 2013, I was 33 years old, and I watched you, I think, in 2012. But yeah, Google censored a lot of stuff. I fully agree, and I want to talk about that later on. But let me ask you this, because someone said this, I didn't know if it was true, and I don't really trust media. I like to hear it from the person directly. Do you not believe we should have a federal government like FBI, counterterrorism unit? Is that true that you just don't want that?
Absolutely. And I'm going to answer with two things. I'm going to explain the policy.
That's why there's echoes on my cell phone and my computer.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
This is all, that shit's all on the record.
Just wanted to hear it from you, because I wanted to make sure that was true. Because just because the media
I thought I made it obvious, man. I ran for the Libertarian Party nomination for president in 2020, but hey, I was not running for president. I'm not a fucking psychopath like the rest of these assholes who just want to rule you. My platform was to resign on day one and take the federal government through a peaceful, orderly, responsible bankruptcy process that would leave us with 50 independent states, 14 sovereign territories, and up to 562 finally fully independent, sovereign native nations. And that's just a first step, because the ultimate goal, from my philosophical perspective, is to apply ethics to politics.
Right.
Don't hit, don't steal, don't kill. That's not, unless you're a politician or a soldier or a cop, those things don't magically become okay when you're government.
Right.
And I don't pretend to prescribe to you or your community what kind of government you should have or should not have.
Right.
But you better not fucking force that on anybody else.
Right.
And that's when you're wrong. And so how do we transform government from an authoritarian, centralized, coercive institution into one that is flexible, voluntary, and responds to people's needs? And I think it's decentralization, or as I say it politically, localization. So I want to get rid of the federal government just as the first step. State governments are still massive evil institutions.
Right.
We get rid of those, we get down to the county level, and that's when you're going to see, and I think this is the future anyway, whether we do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is have someone do it deliberately. The hard way is let it collapse. But what I want to see is government down at the community level, because a community is something that you're a part of by consent, by choice.
Right,
if your consent is being violated to force you into a political body, it's not an authority that respects your rights.
Right. Okay. So let me ask you this, and let me just say this. I like you. Not that it matters. I like your communication skills. You have excellent communication skills. I like your psychology. I love your service that you did with us in Iraq. I like that you're a leader. I like that you have balls. I like that you're brave. I like that you dedicated your life into trying to make a change, and you probably have a little bit. Now, all that being said, we could agree to disagree. I am a humongous, and please don't hang up.
Well, you better disagree with me on this, or else you're going to get calls from the Secret Service too.
No, they don't bother me because I don't bother them. But I am a humongous fan of our federal government. I admire this. I think the CIA are the smartest men and women on planet Earth. I think the NSA is some of the smartest men and women on planet Earth. Now, I will grow with you in your favor. In a very perfect, extreme, beyond extreme world, it would be great not to have no guns, no police, no government, and we could all just walk out safe.
I didn't say no guns or no police. I think people should, and I'm anti-gun for the long run, because we'll have better taser technology, like Star Trek step phasers to stun.
Right.
It'll be more effective for self-defense and I'm a big fan of pepper spray and tasers already. But in terms of police, and if you talk about public safety and security or justice services, we should have police. I wouldn't call them that necessarily.
Okay, so let me
but they
ask
should
you
be
this.
accountable to communities they're serving, not to politicians.
That correct, and I never understood that. And let's come back to that, because I don't want to get off topic, but I want to come back to a lot of stuff you're saying. Let's just say, for an example, we didn't have let's just say we didn't have the NSA. Hypothetically, let's just say we didn't have the NSA.
Who will read my emails? But who will spy on us?
How do you know they're reading your emails?
Because they've been not literally that they're reading them, but that they're collecting them. That's already been established on the congressional record.
Okay. Okay. Let's just say hypothetically
Why would they collect them if they weren't reading them?
But let's just say hypothetically we didn't have the NSA. Let's just say hypothetically we didn't have the FBI.
Great.
How do we know who's going on an airplane trying to blow us up like the shoe bomber?
Oh, because you know what? You're right. We didn't have the FBI when 9/11 happened, and the CIA hadn't been invented yet. So it's a good thing that we got those, and that we haven't had another terrorist attack since. Are you crazy, man? 9/11 happened under the watch of this FBI and CIA that you
but the Patriot Act came after 9/11. The shoe bomber got caught because of the FBI's work. No? And I respectfully ask you that question, because I want to be I want to learn, and I have.
Okay, so I'm not. To me, my opinion of government is not based on anecdotal data. It's based on a summation of data and some underlying principles and an understanding of government as a coercive institution. And I mean, you got to be some kind of beta cuck pussy to look at this government and say, yeah, I guess it's doing a good enough job for me. I'll be a fan and I'm going to lick some boots, as opposed to saying these are fucking criminals we need to stand up to.
Wait, well, okay, so hold on. Yeah, all right, let me ask you. So that bomber who went on the airplane, who did the shoe bomber, do you think if it wasn't for the FBI and the NSA and God only knows who, do you think if it wasn't for them that he would have blew up that plane?
Wasn't the shoe bomber able to get on the plane and he tried to light his shoes?
Yeah,
and it was a fellow passenger who stopped him, not the FBI, not the CIA. They let all that shit, they let him get on the plane. And only at the last minute did a non-government actor stop him.
But he's in Florence, Colorado right now in a federal prison, and he won't do that again.
Yeah, we need a lot of prison reform. Governments
locking up. We do need a lot of, absolutely. But do we need prison reform for that fucker?
Actually, yeah, because the way that he gets treated isn't really in accordance with justice anyway. But no, I support people who are actual violent threats being forcibly isolated from society. But we entrust that function to government and therefore to corrupt politicians and therefore to whatever evil bankers or corporations want to buy them off. I'll give you this about the American
and I want to get on the corporations too. But hold on, let me ask you this question. Because I'm a huge fan of what you just said. I live in the state of Illinois, and we are the most corrupt state. If not, we're on the top of the list. We're the most corrupt state, and Chicago is, you heard it, I'm sure. We have so many corrupt state employees. If it wasn't for the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, Chicago would be worse than what it is now. They indict these corrupt politicians and put them in prison where they need to be for violating the public's trust. Is that safe to say?
Okay, so if you're in an abusive relationship with a woman, like let's say Amber Heard, I'll use her for an example because she's kind of my type, you know, and she's constantly lying to you about you being physically abusive. But then for your birthday, she buys you a nice present. You don't go, oh, well, that makes it all okay because she did this one good thing. It's okay if she murders millions of brown people overseas. It's okay if she beats down society with propaganda. It's okay if she taxes half of our incomes for the average working Americans. It's okay if she locks up people for victimless crimes like in the drug war, because, you know, there's that one time they caught that bad politician. I mean, that's really losing perspective, man.
We have good and we have bad in almost everything. And that's just a fact of life. We have great cops. We have some corrupt bad cops. We have great black people. We have some bad black people. We have good Mexican. I mean, there's good and bad in every race, every agency, every office. And we're smart enough to weed out the good ones. I saw a lot of your videos, and I won't bullshit you. I cannot speak for the FBI or the Secret Service, obviously. If I had to guess, though, some of those agents who paid you a visit on many occasions, again, I can't speak for them, I think they secretly, and it's not even a deep, deep, deep secret, I think they fucking like you. I think they think you're funny. I think they think you have some good ideas. I saw them. I think you're American. I think they like your service to your country. I don't think they hate you. I think politicians hate you. And the reason why politicians hate you and me, more you, definitely.
It's a threat to their racket.
No, I think they fear you because you have great communication skills, and they don't want people like you or me challenging them, because when there's a microphone to their face, we have these communication skills somehow, some way from God, which is a natural talent, and we're trying to use it for good. But to stay on topic, do you think some of those FBI agents and Secret Service agents who paid you a visit kind of secretly liked you?
Yeah. One of them proposed to me actually recently. It was pretty creepy.
I'm sure there's a lot of female FBI women who I mean, your cut is fuck. I had my fair share, and I want to make this perfectly clear because everyone already knows. there is a huge difference between you and me, but there is a lot in common that we have.
Right.
You troll or you confront, whatever you want to call it. You do federal. Me, I have never, ever, ever bothered none of the federal government for many fucking reasons.
Hold
But I
on, man.
will say,
You gotta let me respond to a couple of things before you keep throwing new shit at me. Um, First, about the relationship with law enforcement and that threat. My start in full-time activism was with Iraq Veterans Against the War. And so we were mentored by some guys from Vietnam Veterans Against the War, and they talked about their interactions with the FBI and COINTELPRO. You know COINTELPRO?
I
If
don't
you're a
do
fan of
nothing
the FBI,
federal.
you got to be a big fan of COINTELPRO. How do you think they assassinated all those activists in the Black Power and anti-war movements in the 60s and 70s? Do yourself a favor. Anybody who's taking activism in America seriously at all, at least go read the Wikipedia page for COINTELPRO. It's a combination of counterintelligence program. Now, my friend Ernie, who's Ernie Hancock, freedomsphoenix.com, likes to joke that he's got NSA agents listening to his phone calls, but they got to change out the team every few months because he keeps winning converts. And there is some draw in that. Every G-man, every straight man, every loser beta sees someone stepping out of line, sees another man stepping out of line, and fucking, I mean, my history with women is public and enviable, let's just say. I think they see
Had a
that.
girlfriend for a little while, and I want to talk about that too. That's another reason why I got out of activism.
I've always had more amazing, beautiful, sexy, empowered women around me than I knew what to do with.
Me too. We're fucking good looking. We're funny as fuck. We're interesting. We're a little wacky. We're artists. Me too. We can get that. But I have a girl, I have a kid, and I'm just like, I can't put them in that spot anymore. I already did, but I did it for state employees. You know Washington, D.C., and I learned this in high school. You know Washington, D.C. is CIA and Secret Service galore land, right?
Okay, so there was, when I was getting started in full-time activism with Iraq Veterans Against the War, I think it was Michael Hastings was the Rolling Stone reporter investigating some generals at the Pentagon. And if you recall, he died in a mysterious car crash.
Dude.
And it was at that point I decided I'm not going to go after individuals. I'm going to go after the paradigm. I'm going to go after the institutions. That way I can be loving and forgiving. I don't have to be the agent of accountability who becomes an enemy for a particular segment of the government racket that someone is willing to kill for. I think that's why I've survived as long as I have, because a lot of people, are tempted to go that way. But when you get into it, you see that potential. You go, I don't want to get Hastings, ending. I want to live. I want to live a good life, and I want to set an example. And honestly, like I said, in this moment of existential examination of my life, I did this thing with mushrooms in 12 days in solitary confinement in December, last year, and that was right before my 40th birthday in February. And I'm like, man, I thought I had outgrown this shit. I was like, I'm really ready to make a transition. I got my 10 acres down 3 miles of private dirt road. I'm in my half-built cabin right now. I got a wood-burning stove, solar power. I'm getting a well put in. Going to be building some gardenings and greenhouses and being fully self-sufficient out here. And I want to settle down and have kids. And maybe that's
good. That's almost a lot of stuff that comes out of your mouth is intelligent. That is just another intelligent thing to add to your list of intelligent things you said. Let me ask you this, because I'm not going to lie. I will admit this, and I probably shouldn't, but I will. Since I was in high school, I always knew who to mess with and who not. I went to an extreme fucked up high school, and I learned the FBI conviction rate is like 99%, 98, whatever it is.
It's counting
State-
pleas when they bully people into taking plea deals.
Right. State cases you can beat if you have a law firm or lawyer, or if you could bond out. The FBI, you can't. The conviction. I learned that when I was a freshman. You are you scared? Like, I don't know, some of those guys you're talking to, like they could just make you disappear. Like, does that like not saying they would, but you're smart. You're smart as fuck. You know they have
I'm
black
more,
fans.
I am more scared of being bullied into being a beta cuck pussy,
Right.
dying with regrets, than I am of facing the consequences for doing the right thing.
Right. No, I hear you. And you know what? Maybe, and I won't lie, you brought it up. So, and I'll go along with it. Maybe I'm a boy and block cock pussy because I don't go to Washington, D.C. and do that. They would
I don't,
make.
no. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than, it's not about like when I, so there's like, I set an example in my own life that's a manifestation of my principles that I think are basic human ethical principles that most people fall short of. Separately, in my civil disobedience, I go and I do, crazy performance shit standing up to government that's very visible. But in terms of like, what does it mean? Like, what does it mean to be an alpha, to have the confidence and this is not a male female thing. I mean, being the alpha of your life, being really in charge of your life, not outsourcing your decision making or the authority that you have over your own life to other people. And it's taking charge of it and having the confidence to design your best life from the ground up without the preconceptions or expectations or bullying or pressure from anybody else.
Let me ask you something. You bring that word up a lot, and I want to learn. You say bullying. Has the federal government bullied you like ever?
So I want to use so bullying is one of those big, any bad behavior words like, racism, sexism. It's come to be a very nebulous thing in society, but I mean like threatening force to control someone else's behavior. And that's kind of the definition of government. Government threatens force to control your behavior. If you don't do what politicians say, they send people with guns to come and lock you in a cage. And if you resist that, they shoot you.
Well, I have done on a state level. I haven't listened to my state politicians, and no FBI agent shot me. No one shot me. They just said you can't. Some gave me warning, some didn't. I mean,
a warning of a threat. What are they warning? If you don't do this, I mean, it's like
it was
taxes.
more like it was more of a courtesy. It was more of a courtesy. I had my fair share of meeting investigators. Again, I never met no FBI.
Let me just courteously tell you
Okay.
that if you don't give me your lunch money, I'm gonna kick the shit. I'm telling you this as a courtesy because
Right.
I don't want to kick the shit out of you. But if you don't give me your lunch money, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm so courteous.
Right. Okay. So let's get this. All right. I'll explain it this way.
You caught me running home, and I'm all sweaty because just got off the road, wanted to come and get to this interview, and you caught me in a really sucky mood. I'm not normally quite this sarcastic.
No, you're good. I want you to be you. I never met anyone from the FBI. I never met anyone from Secret Service. All my encounters were all state employees. I never had no encounter, never met a Fed in my life. That being said, I had my fair share of meeting investigators from a state employee point of view. I had.
Oh, by the way, don't meet your heroes. It'll destroy them for you.
Wow. So some of the investigators that I met, a lot of them actually, it ended up working in everyone's favor because they kind of said, hey, you're on the border of line of threatening someone. And they gave me a warning. And that was my cue to say, I made my point. I made it clear. I'm done. A lot of these investigators, when they investigate you, they just want to check off that you're not a crazy lunatic, and then they're on their way. So I'm trying to figure out with you, and this is my actually $1 trillion question to you. This is the number one.
I don't have that much money.
No,
I don't have that much money.
No, I don't either.
I can't afford your questions.
No.
But go ahead.
Out of all the videos and interviews that I saw you done, I don't recall anyone asking you this question. And if you don't want to answer it, it's totally cool. Do you regret, or did something bad happen to you when you were out serving and protecting our country and Americans in Iraq? Is this where it kind of started, where something unfortunately badly happened to you and you feel that you were, again, I'm not putting words in my mouth, I'm asking, do you feel that you were robbed of your youth of going to Iraq? Do you feel that it was a mistake, that something bad happened to you over there where it made you angry? Because I know when I turned, I know when something bad happened to me. I know when I started getting angry. I meditated on this. I had so many fucking times to think, how the fuck did I end up doing these YouTube videos? How the fuck did I end up hating my state government? How the fuck did I ended up being so fucking angry? I'm like the guy from American History X at the end, and when he just said, "How did they come to this?" I mean, I just so many times. Did something happen to you in Iraq, or do you
Well,
feel that your youth was taken?
I really appreciate the question phrased that way, because it's not the captains of the football teams or the cheerleading squads who are the first to question the status quo. You know, as a community of activists, and I say the freedom movement, anybody who's challenging illegitimate power, you know, we are people who have generally been hurt by this, and that's why we're more motivated than the average person. But government's hurt so many people; it's
Right,
practically
but how
everyone now.
about right?
So
What about
I'll,
your story?
stop interrupting. I'm getting to your question, man. You're making this hard for me.
Thank you. I'm
So
glad that you're over there and I'm in Chicago because you can't punch me.
hey, you've seen, I have extreme self-control and discipline and mastery of my emotions. That's why you've seen me be so successful in civil disobedience. I can take a beating. I can stand up to a cop and not flinch, and I've done it. But
Right.
to your question,
Yeah.
I'm grateful that you asked it that way. And in my case, and because I've answered that question in the kind of roundabout way, in the sense that it wasn't really any one thing in particular. It was the coming home and waking up and realizing that I had been lied into being a party to a war crime. And I mean, the invasion and occupation of Iraq were war crimes. Specifically for myself, I was ordered to torture detainees during the siege of Fallujah in 2004.
Oh yeah.
And it was, but
Okay.
that's just another teachable moment for me. I don't, there were men who were pushed to committing much more traumatizing, destructive acts of violent evil in Iraq. And it, to me, I was there consciously well-intentioned. I volunteered to go to Iraq with civil affairs because I thought that what we were doing was cleaning up our mess, and that civil affairs were the nice guys who would help make things better for Iraqi civilians. And I really had to go for myself to find out that that fundamentally wasn't anywhere near the truth. And it's not like, I've dealt with PTSD. So I don't want to say that there isn't that, but and certainly early in my activism, I was very emotional. You know, there are people dying over there because people over here don't know what I just experienced. You know, and that's really fucking motivating, like serious sense of urgency shit. Like, yeah, every day I got to get up, and I've carried a lot of the sort of guilt and shame around that since then. But part of being an activist is also working on yourself. And I think I don't want to. I'm not claiming perfection. I'm pretty close though. But through the work that is, and I want to end this. I want to end this answer, with a bigger note about taking control of your own life, and asserting that, because for me, when I got back from Iraq, I had combat stress, I had PTSD. They're like, no, it's just combat stress. Don't worry about it. But part of what I've realized actually in the last few years, even like I just turned 40, is how much I was underparented. And I think in particular, I mean, how you're close enough in my age, this, what I'm about to say applies to you too. We are a generation of men raised by fathers whose fathers already, because of industrialization and the changes in the human experience accelerating, didn't know how to raise their sons. So our fathers had no idea how to raise us. And to be properly men in this modern world, to know that asserting your boundaries is not beating people up. It's an intellectual exercise. It's a spiritual exercise. And knowing how to do that and identifying all, and of course, institutional education, government schools, you know, they don't teach you how to think, they teach you what to think. They teach you to sit in cemetery row seating and be obedient to the authorities. And what that does is that literally stunts your psychological growth. We are raised to be children functioning as adults, because in that sense, we can work jobs, we can be productive, we can pay taxes, but we can't assert our boundaries. We can't stand up for principles. We can't stand up to unjust authority. And so a big part of what I've gone through as a result of this incredible experience, of, you know, combination of experiences I've had over my life, is to be able to subject myself ruthlessly to that critical examination, say, I'm a child like this, I'm a child like this, and I don't want to be a child anymore. I want to be a man. You know, so I've reprogrammed, I've added programming, I've completed, you know, the job that I think most parents should do in giving their child means of communicating with nonviolent communication, mastery of your own emotions, sense of self-love and confidence. You know, the ability to do whatever it is that you set your mind to. Sorry, my dogs are getting in trouble. Magic. I have 3 dogs. One of them named Magic. Magic, get off the couch, silly. Come here, good boy.
No one has the right to say anything to anyone who's been to Iraq or Afghanistan, because
Bullshit. Bullshit.
I don't know what you've been through, man.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, Ron Paul said you don't have to go to Iraq to read the Constitution. And no, you should judge us.
No,
If anything,
we can't judge you. You left from America, your homeland, to
judge actions, not people. Let me rephrase. But the action, I am a war criminal. That is a fair, appropriate, and important judgment.
No, that's not one. No, you're not. Fuck.
I tortured people. I violated conventions personally, and I participated in a war of aggression.
Okay.
I'm a war criminal.
Okay. Hear me out. One.
But give me 10% off at Home Depot, and that makes it all better. Oh, and free desserts at Applebee's once a year. Something like
that. We need to do more, obviously, for people like you. Yeah, we fucking suck with that. But hold on. One, you're not a war criminal. Two, you're not. No. Two, we know
properly.
We know in the year 2022, and not to bring up his name because I don't get into politics. I don't do Donald Trump. I don't do Biden. I don't do Obama. I don't do any of that. I don't do federal. I don't do any of that. But Donald Trump and a lot of people know there was no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and we all got lied to. That's a 100% fact of life. That being said, though, one, very important. Saddam Hussein was a very, very evil man, and you helped to take him out, and you saved a lot of lives because he was
gone by the time I got there. Huh? And actually, Saddam's power was a product of American empire involvement in the Iran-Iraq war going back decades. So no, don't buy your narrative, man. Sorry, it's not historically accurate.
Not my narrative. Was Saddam a bad? Was Saddam a bad person?
You don't make your own narrative. You let government tell you the truth.
No. I'm asking you. Was Saddam a bad person?
Yeah, of course.
Did you help take him out?
No, he was already gone by the time I got there.
Okay, but you didn't know that at the time. You could have helped him take him out.
Okay, just because someone is a bad person doesn't mean that murdering them is necessarily the best course of action.
He would torture people and hang his own people from a rope. He did that for years.
this is what you're doing right now. And I'm not trying to justify any of that, but what you're doing right now is playing this bullshit jingoistic nationalism comparison game. Our government's evil, but their government's more evil. No,
No. I asked you a question.
No. You said you're a fan of the federal government. The federal government has murdered 1,000 times more people than Saddam Hussein could have in his wildest dreams.
What people have they murdered?
The U.S. government?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go back through the history of wars, Native American genocide?
Oh, you're going back. I don't know.
Even the Iraq war. The war in Iraq resulted in 5 million something deaths.
Yeah, and I agree. And I say that all the time. We lost 4,000 Americans.
Saddam did not do that. The American government and the invasion of Iraq did that. The Iran-Iraq war was responsible for millions of deaths.
Okay.
And that was funded largely by external sources. It was the American government sent Saddam weapons for the Iran-Iraq war. So,
right. Okay.
So when you come to me and say, hey, Adam, isn't Saddam a bad guy? You're like, oh my God, while my leg is just got cut off, come look at my hangnail.
I know. Okay. I'll say this. Let me put it this way, because you're right. For most of it.
I know. No, I'm right about everything. You just haven't figured the rest out yet.
Right. So you're such a good communicator, man. So let's put it this way. Almost everyone in America and probably across the world, we all got lied to in school for propaganda. North Korea has like 3 channels where they praise Kim Jong-un. Here in America, we have CNN, Fox, and they divide the country. So we all are victims of being lied to, but there comes a point of our time when we say, you know what? I'm old enough not to believe that shit, and I'm going to ignore it. You are in a unique position, though, and you deserve a lot more than all of us. You are a bigger victim than all of us who got lied to. So it sounds to me, no.
I don't. So again,
first of all,
I can refute your statement on facts and comparison and perspective, and on its premise, because victimhood and deserving are fundamentally illegitimate concepts. I don't buy them for myself, and people who do are holding themselves back. But if you talk about who's been victimized by government more, fuck, man, my experience was pretty mild. You know, I think about, like, I've been to jail for 6 months altogether in about, a dozen different stunts for civil disobedience.
Yeah,
and you see people who have been like fucked over by government from when they were born. People who get shot by cops every day in this country. Multiple people get shot by cops. It's over 1,000 a year. And yeah, I've never been shot. I've had a lot of my picture taken a lot, if you count that, but no.
I have. But do you know, and you know this, do you know how many cops actually saved lives versus the ones who are corrupt and shot on people when they shouldn't have? There's more good people than bad people. And
I don't dispute your fact there. There are well-intentioned cops, but every cop is someone who has volunteered to use force against peaceful people for money. They have sold out their ethical agency. And more importantly, what you sound like right now is a victim in an abusive relationship going, well, he really loves me. Well, most of them are good, or well, some of them do good things. It doesn't fucking matter. You got to step back and look at the whole, get some emotional maturity and grow some balls to maintain your boundaries and say, right, this shit is not okay because it is fundamentally flawed.
Yeah, no, I did that. It cost me 4 months in Cook County Jail too. Very bad place. No, I did that. But what I'm trying to say in so many words, and I feel you, I think that you and me have seen hell. And you've seen hell worse than me. I've seen hell, but you've seen hell.
No. It's all here. I was happy in Iraq.
There's more good people Well, yeah, I wanted to die too in my life. I never wanted to live. I hated life. You could hear it. I did until I met my girl in 2016. I hated life. I had a death wish. I didn't give a fuck if I died. I kind of still don't. I smoke a lot of cigarettes. If I get cancer, I do, but I don't. I'm good now. I'm in a good place now because I got a good girl and I got my studio, but I'm still fucked up here. But nevertheless, not about me. This is your interview. Do you know that there are more good people in the world than the fucked up bad people?
I believe I have way more positive faith in humanity than you do. And I'm going to make this about you for a second because you brought that shit up. And I
Say
think I
that
have some,
again. Hold on. Say it again. You say it again. I want say it one more time.
I'm trying to move on. I want to talk about you now.
Well, no, we'll talk about me. But what did you say? You think I want to see if you're right. I just want to understand the question. You think you have
But
more
I have
faith
way
in-
more faith in humanity than you do.
Oh yeah, no, you do.
And I'll tell you why, because I can hit you. Well, you smoke cigarettes. And you know what, look, Eric, let me
I
say
smoke
something.
cigarettes because I'm addicted to the nicotine that they lied to me about with the little
I,
stamp.
I,
And I
stop
smoke cigarettes.
Hey, stop interrupting. I'm about to say something that's going to change your life forever.
God.
I'm serious.
Okay.
Because look, I got a lot of respect for you as an activist, right? There's some ways that you and I really uniquely see eye to eye.
Right.
There's also a difference in our attitudes and our perspectives. And look, I can see you're overweight.
Overweight? What are you talking about? I got arms just like you. What the fuck?
You got a little extra fat around your face there.
Look
Oh,
at
what's your what's your body fat percentage? Show me your ab.
I don't know. I
Show
can
me
show you
show
my
me your
abs. I
abs.
only show that to girls.
Yeah, right. Okay.
The
Well,
fuck?
this is what I'm supposed to look like.
Look, man, I don't go to the gym because I think it's a waste of time
Eric,
doing this shit. I'm
Eric.
secure.
Eric, stop interrupting.
Okay. I responded to you calling me fat.
You also smoke cigarettes.
Yes. I smoke a pack. Yes.
Low impulse control. Addictive tendencies.
Uh,
Lack of self-love and confidence.
Not self-love, not confidence. The other ones are right. I like to smoke cigarettes. If I die, I die. I get cancer, and I don't want to live past 60.
Those are obvious symptoms of some distinct lack of love or acceptance for yourself.
I don't really like it down here on planet Earth. I think it's evil. I think it's corrupt, and I don't really like it. There's some things I love, but most things I just don't like, and I admit it.
That is a choice. That is a choice. So one of the things that came, I gotta go because you tried to get me in 20 minutes. That's not gonna happen. I'm gonna end on a really positive note for everybody. Okay.
Are we gonna do part 2?
We'll see if you're nice. But yeah, if this doesn't get your show canceled completely, right?
Oh well, you didn't say nothing bad.
9/11 was an inside job.
All right. I don't want to get canceled. I got. Sorry, I don't want to. I don't want to get canceled.
All right, so here's the most important thing I can say though. So I was in jail in DC, for 4 months, and I did most of that time in solitary. And while I was in jail, the guards, had to check on us, and they would do their rounds. And I took advantage of the opportunity, especially when I was in solitary. Every time they walked by, I said, "Hey, excuse me, officer, can you come here? I got to tell you something." Because they have to respond. They have that like custodial responsibility of you when you're in jail. If you're just an inmate saying, "Excuse me, officer, I need your help. Can you talk to me for a minute?" If they're just doing their rounds, they have to stop and walk up to your cell and say, "What can I do for you, inmate?" It's not like they don't call you inmate. In my case, they call me sir.
They called me inmate. I did 3 years in prison. You know that, right?
Yeah, no, that's why I say we got that respect. I only did 4 months in my longest stint, and I've done about a few other short stints that add up to about 6 altogether.
I'm flexing. I did 3 years. You did 4 months. Got to flex.
It's not a contest. It's not a contest.
Here's my fat fucking stomach.
When I was in jail, anytime I call those guards over, I would say, "You are a free, beautiful, independent human being, and you should never let anyone tell you otherwise." And a lot of them just kind of walked off in a huff. And I noticed I was in jail for a righteous cause. I was there for great reasons. I had all the time I needed to sleep, to work out. I had just enough food to survive. And I was happy because I chose to be. In that circumstance, those were the things that put me in a positive frame because I chose a positive frame that resulted in that. And the positive frame that you put in your mind is what manifests your reality. Your reality, your body, your daily habits are a reflection of the framing that you adopt for your life as a whole. And what you just said about, life down here, not that great, whatever, that's some really disgusting, defeatist shit. Now, you're a beautiful human being, man. There's no reason to let that bad programming sit in your mind. And one of the manifestations is what I hear a lot from you, even in this short period, of a kind of political Stockholm syndrome. Like, these people are abusing you. You're in an abusive relationship with your government. They threaten you into compliance. And yet you find reasons to admire them because it's psychologically, in some way, avoidance of what may be a difficult truth that would cause that self-examination and lead you to a place of better centeredness and inner peace and more consistent self-love and self-respect.
My federal government never abused me at all. My state government did some beyond fucked up shit to me, and where I'm fucked up like you are probably in your head is I could prove what they did to me, and no one does nothing about it because it's the Attorney General's office for the state of Illinois, and no one wants.
People make excuses for that the way that you make excuses for the federal government. Okay, now let me finish my point so I can go, man. So I wrote an essay that became the most important section in my book, Freedom, called Emotional Freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And the ultimate sovereignty is you can have a sovereignty over your own mind. Nobody can ever take that away from you, but you can be fooled into giving it up. You are an animal in an animal's body with an animal's brain.
Mm-hmm.
But because you are a conscious human being and you have this incredible gift, and for me, by the way, physical fitness and health always comes first. If your brain's not getting the right nutrients, you're treading water, trying to heal traumas and shit. You got to get your diet right. You got to get your exercise right.
Did you eat one meal a day?
So I do vegan 1 meal a day. Yeah.
That's all you eat.
Yeah, there's a famous YouTube video called Vegan Strongman. Eats 1 meal a day, Dr. Noonan Raw. I watched it, I took notes, and I based my own regimen off of that. The only thing I disagree with him on is that you have to be disciplined. I do it about 90% of the time, and I give myself the flexibility to party when I need to or go on adventures and not feel constrained by my routine. But more or less, I do that. Anyway, the final point is, you keep interrupting me with all these really fun sidebars. You're fucking baiting me into making this interview go way longer than you said it would. Here's the last point, and then I'm going to do my plugs. Okay?
You don't think the vegan thing is interesting? You don't think that your fans want to know that you eat 1 meal a day? You're like the government. You're accusing me of shit that I'm not trying to do. I saw you eat 1 meal a day, and I wanted to talk about that. What time do you eat that meal? How big is that meal? I think that's interesting shit.
All right, well, find me on Telegram, Adam versus the Man on Telegram.
No, this is it. I can't keep having echoes on my cell phone and my computer flashing off.
Okay, so here's the final point, and this is a gift, Eric. This is a gift for anybody who has not yet internalized this idea entirely and made it a part of their personality and their psychological makeup, because maybe you've heard this before, but even being reminded of it is such a positive reinforcement. I told you I had more faith in humanity than you do. I'm about to prove it because you have the power.
Agree. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I think we're all gonna burn up. Agree.
I know it's your show, but I'm cutting you off on your bullshit pessimism. Okay.
I'm letting you know that there's no disagreement with us. You're proving like you're like we're both in court and you're arguing, and I'm trying to tell you I'm guilty. I fucking did it. Give me probation.
Right. So, as an animal, you have animalistic responses to stimuli. You will have emotional responses. You will feel pain. You will feel sadness. You will feel anger. But your response to those responses to the stimuli in your mood, your attitude, your outlook, your framing of life, that's your choice.
Right.
Don't let anybody else make it for you.
No one hasn't made anything else for me. The only reason why I stopped doing this activism stuff is because I gave all the plans to make Chicago a better place and no one is listening to me at all.
Eric,
So why keep
Eric,
repeating
Eric,
myself?
because if you really had sovereignty over your mind, if you really gone and reprogrammed yourself, you'd be a lot happier and more optimistic than you sound right now.
What should I know I don't sound optimistic and happy. What should I do right now for you? Let me ask you, like, give me one last question with you because I'm concerned and I do want to end this on a positive note with you. This is your interview. Do you feel, because I feel this, do you feel that we as an Americans and private citizens, including myself, owe you for what you have been through in Iraq? And do you feel that we should tend to, and I want to watch my word when I say this, but I don't know what other word I could use. Do you think that not only do we owe you, that we need to get you some type of someone to talk to and to help you out for what you've been through?
I'm cool with just coke and hookers. No, but this idea of deserving and through suffering, it really is a kind of emotional manipulation based around duty, obligation, and false authority. I reject the
Oh
entire
man,
framework.
anyone who went to Afghanistan and Iraq, when they come back home, we need to take care of them. That's
Who's
not
we?
manipulation.
Who's
Private
we? The
citizens,
average
the
taxpayer?
government, my
Yeah,
neighbors.
no. You're saying that our government should steal from the average hardworking tax-paying American to pay for the mistakes of politicians that were made before they probably even had a chance to vote. Fuck that. No, individual responsibility means you don't get to force your mistakes on other people. And I would never try to do that and say, you got to blow smoke up my ass because I volunteered for combat. Fuck that.
So you don't think that United States citizens, all of us who love
You said one question, and
hold
I'm
on,
gonna maintain my
and we're still
boundaries.
on it.
Say, I love you,
Hold
Eric.
on.
I
You don't
love
think that all of us citizens who love our military, you don't
no,
think that
uh,
you think we're all idiots for saying thank you for your services?
yes, and we can talk about that next time. Mwah. Peace and love, y'all.
Thank you, brother. We'll talk soon. Soon. We're going to talk soon. You can't turn it off. See? Oh, by the way, just for the record, oh my God, just for the record, any federal government watching this YouTube video from him, I like you guys, I respect you guys, and I'm a pussy. I don't want no trouble at all from you guys. I love you. Anything I could ever do for you, you know how to find me. Let me know. Thank you. God bless. And we need, oh my, oh, that was interesting. Yes, yeah.